Lacrosse Legends. Lacrosse Legends, a comprehensive look at America's greatest game, featuring legends past, present, and future. Today on Lacrosse Legends, correspondent Bernard Williams goes one-on-one with legendary coach Alan Hodish.
Coach Alan Hodish. Hodish started in the late 70s on Long Island. He was an assistant coach with Levittown Memorial High School, then with C.W. Post. In the 80s, he moved on to become head coach of the Hempstead High School varsity lacrosse team. There, Coach Hodish turned the Hempstead Tigers into one of the best lacrosse teams on Long Island. In 1983, the Tigers finished 17-2 with a 15-game winning streak. In 1985, Hempstead Lacrosse finished 18-2 with a 16-game winning streak, number 2 in Nassau County and number 4 in the state. Coach Hodish is now an attorney on Long Island and still has a passion for lacrosse. He coaches the Hempstead PAL Youth Lacrosse team. Coach Hodish discussed his approach to coaching today's youth.
I try to be pointed, I guess, focused. I want the kids to be focused, and I want them to, take what they're doing seriously. In fact, just a couple of weeks ago, I thought we played our best game of the year. We played Hicksville, and we made a point. You win the game, ground balls. Our kids just across the board were outstanding. Now, we get loud?
Hey, what are you doing? I don't care where he is. Don't shoot the ball at our player.
Myself, I've heard you in the background too there, Coach. But, but I think it's a love where you can react that way at times, but very quickly you got to be able to hug the kid and build him up, because we don't want kids to not like the game, not like what they're doing out there, and I think they get pumped up also. And we get pumped up after them getting pumped up.
We asked Coach Hodish about diversity in lacrosse.
I think it's important. You got a lot of good role models out there now. Speaking to you, and I used to coach Long Island Metro Pilots, which is a very elite team a couple of years back, and probably two of the more diverse guys that we had. Two of the best players were the Bratton twins. Shamel was number 3 in the nation in terms of recruiting, and number 5 was Rummel, and Huntington kids, and played for UVA and actually won a national championship. So that's where diversity is coming. You go all the way back to Jim Brown, probably the greatest lacrosse player of all time, right here from Manhasset High School. And not a better athlete than Jimmy Brown, and he certainly is a role model to everybody, in particular the African American community.
Coach Hodish spoke about how the game has changed.
Yeah, well, again, the Summer League team, or the travel team that I coached, the Long Island Metro Pilots, a couple of years back with the Bratton twins, filled with Division I players. Many of them were able to get seen and looked at, and it did enhance their opportunities to college. We took them out to Vail and things of that nature. I think as long as it's done in the right way, one thing I don't like about a lot of summer teams, they seem to be money grabs, where they say, okay, coaches get paid, you want to have your son recruited, it's an extra fee. I really think it could and should be done in other ways. Some of the programs now, they just coach their own towns, like Garden City, and a couple of others. West Islip was like that for a long period of time. Smithtown with the Huff brothers. And so they did it for the right reasons. They wanted to expand the game, expand the players, give them more recognition. too many guys, I think, are in it, and they're giving up their full-time jobs. This is a fact. I know about 2 or 3 guys, and their main source of income is from lacrosse.
Travel, right?
Yeah, and kind of on the backs of some of these kids. Not only do they run an A team, which I could see. I mean, the Metro Pilots was an A team, but that's all we had.
Right.
But they'll run a B team, a C team, a D team, and the kids thinking they're going to be on this particular team wind up being on a mediocre team because it's so diluted. Right. And that's, again, where the money aspect comes in. But it is a way of life now, so you gotta
sometimes go with
absolutely.
Next on Lacrosse Legends. You're watching Lacrosse Legends.
Lacrosse, huge on Long Island, as you know, and as a result of that, we're finding more and more kids. The PAL leagues are loaded with kids, as you mentioned, summer league, tournaments. The NCAAs, we went to the Hofstra Stadium the other day, you and I, and we saw the national quarterfinals. Right. We got to see Maryland, loaded with Long Island kids. We got to see North Carolina, Long Island kids. We saw Notre Dame, and of course we saw Duke. And Duke coached by John Danowski from Long Island, his son, who I had the pleasure of coaching years ago. Also, obviously, a Farmingdale guy.
Right, gotcha.
But I think the future is very bright for lacrosse. And I think if we can really get it going, it should be a good sport for diversity. It is very difficult. Statistics show that people are going to make it to Division I football, and certainly the pros. You have, of course, guys that do that. Same thing with basketball. Now, lacrosse, on the other hand, can not only give you an opportunity to play Division I, especially coming from a hotbed like Long Island, and it can give you an opportunity to go to an excellent school. I mentioned Duke, I mentioned Maryland, UVA, right, Virginia, the Ivies, certainly, and for the black or Hispanic athlete, I mean, this is a godsend. You look at Duke, the 2 starting defensemen were on that team. In fact, we saw Junior Seau's son,
Jake Seau,
had a great game playing with Duke, wasn't he? Yeah, with Duke. So, and there's as good a football player family that you could talk. The other thing is Belichick. I don't know if you knew this.
That's his daughter.
Well, yes, and he also played for Wesleyan.
Right, he did.
And he's very close with Dave Petramala, who's the head coach at Hopkins, yes. And so I've gone to camps in the past where Petramala was on the phone with Coach Belichick, and Belichick actually showed up at camp on occasion or two.
Awesome.
Yeah.
That's awesome.
It's a Friday afternoon, a gorgeous day, I might add, because we are celebrating our 8th annual awards ceremony. Today the kids and their parents come together, and we have some trophies and placards, a raffle we're going to do at the end to commemorate the season and the success of the team. By the way, we finished 6-1, and we are the Mythical League champions. We have a pizza party. Hopefully encourage the kids to stay with their sticks. Some are going off to camps. We were able to get some scholarships from the town of Hempstead camp and also St. Anthony's camp, very prestigious camp. And you're going to meet Harry Jacobs, who is Steve Jacobs, who are directors of Recon. They provide scholarships for the kids, Joe and Therese Pagari. Wonderful people. I had the pleasure of coaching their son, Kevin, who's now on Wall Street, Cold Spring Harbor grad. Great family. Unfortunately, while Kevin was just finishing school, his older brother, Michael, was in a car accident that was going to Pace. He was involved at Pace University, and as a result of that accident, he lost his life. So the Pagaris have established a foundation. They've helped Roosevelt and other communities, lacrosse related, and they've always been here for us. They provide also a scholarship which is used to defray some of the expenses at the Recon program. Jim Metzger, who is a just a wonderful person. Jim is involved in the insurance field, has a wonderful business in Garden City called the Whitmore Group. If you drive by Hofstra Stadium, you'll see his name all over the place, and rightfully so. The field itself is named after the Whitmore Group. The press box carries his name, and he's donated, I would say, in excess of $2 million to the Hofstra Lacrosse program. Helped out financially with St. Anthony's and their athletic facilities, and so he's a guy that's ready to give back for the right reasons, and he will be here today, and we will give out both the Pagari Award, which goes to a deserving youngster, and the Metzger Award, so our top 2 honors.
You know, when I have an opportunity to speak to the parents and the players, I love to do that. Coach mentioned Rob Pinnell is my nephew. Rob Pinnell was a skinny kid in 11th grade, small skinny kid. He wasn't recruited. His senior year he had a great year, and we helped him get into a college, and he graduated the leading scorer in the history of college lacrosse. You guys are lucky to be playing lacrosse and to have the support of your parents. When I was in high school, my mother never came to lacrosse games. She went to football games. One game I had 82 assists my senior year. Where's Ford, the great Jimmy Ford? But I only had 18 goals, Jim, so you outscored me. I had 102 points. You had 118. But I went home and I told my mother, she had cooked dinner and my sisters were there, and I said, Mom, we won the game. We won by a wide margin today. And she said, how'd you do? I said, I had 8 assists. She said, how many goals did you have? I said, none. She said, you're much better at football. I said, no, Mom, that's good. You got to come out and watch a game. Guys, I will tell you this. Play lacrosse. You can play football and basketball and soccer and baseball, but the best way to get into college, the best way to help yourself in high school is to play lacrosse. Al referenced African Americans a few times. I went to school with some African Americans, great athletes. They didn't want to play lacrosse. They were great football players or basketball players, but very few guys make the pros. Very few players, less than 1% of all the guys that play high school football, baseball, basketball, soccer make the pros. Lacrosse, different game. Lacrosse, you can make the pros. Lacrosse, you can go to college. If you don't get a scholarship, it'll help you get into college. But it'll do even more than that for you. You'll make friendships and you'll have relationships that'll last the rest of your life. You'll learn a lot about life. And you listen to your parents, listen to your coaches. You've got a great opportunity here to build a lacrosse game that will impact the rest of your lives in a very positive way. It's a privilege for me to come out here and assist Coach Hodish and speak to you lacrosse players. I wish I could play the game again. Or here's a guy sitting, National Lacrosse Hall of Famer, one of the greatest lacrosse players of all time, Mr. Veroza, and Jimmy Ford, All-American from Rutgers and a Hempstead icon. We wish we were your age. We wish we were playing now. We would give anything to play. I think so, Jimmy, right? So, we wish you the best of luck in the future, and we hope you continue to play the game, work hard at it, and a lot of good things will come to you. Thank you.
Coach Holder spoke about the future of lacrosse.
You know, I had a long talk today with Doug Schreiber. Doug is one of the coaches out of St. Anthony's.
Yes.
His son, Thomas, had the winning goal in the USA games last year. Princeton grad, and he's involved with PAL. So we were talking about the PLL, rather. And this year it's going to be a showcase league. They're going to start off playing in different communities. They're going to start off at up in UMass, not UMass, but where the Patriots play.
What's that, Gillette Stadium?
Gillette Stadium, absolutely. And so they're going to put a weekend in there. There's going to be 6 teams. They're going to play round robins, then move to another city, and just try and find out what cities are going to embrace and make it happen. Now, they have insurance. They have a much better pay rate than the Lizards, from my understanding. And so a lot of people are putting their efforts, a lot of your players are putting their efforts into that new league. Paul Rabel is very involved in that, all-time great. The Lizards are still around, so you know, they're going to have 2 leagues, obviously, and I'm curious to see what PLL is going to be about.
We spoke with Coach Hodish about women's lacrosse.
Of course, I know your daughters, and they're in the Farmingdale program, and they're very excited about it. And that's a great high school program. You know, the high schools are really embracing it big time. You got Garden City, you've got Manhasset, and the college is big time. Now, they have a Final Four that's up and coming as well this weekend. And also, they're trying to develop more diversity. I remember a couple years ago, I got a call from Howard University. The coach was looking to give away scholarships. And of course, that's a black university. And yeah, I made a couple of recommendations. I didn't know too many young ladies playing at that time, so the opportunities are there too. And again, with the tremendous athletic ability of a lot of these young black women, it could be a great way to go. And they've got some great schools playing. Northwestern, Princeton, Navy has an excellent team. Maryland, and who won it last? Boston College is a tremendous team. So again, excellent schools as well.
If you got a kid that never played the sport and wants to get into lacrosse, what would you advise them to do, or his parents?
Yeah, well, you know, buy a stick. And we talk about it all the time. Get on the wall. That's what does that mean? You go up against a handball court, and you practice your catching, righty, lefty, over the shoulder. You can pick up the game that way, but you've got to really drill it. If your dad or your mom has a baseball glove, she can toss to you. You catch it with the stick, you throw it back, ground balls. But, you know, work on the fundamentals. Go to some of these fundamental type camps, you know, not the overly competitive camps. Pick up the skills, and then join a team and have fun.
We asked Coach Hodish what keeps him motivated.
Well, the people in lacrosse, it's a fraternity. A lot of wonderful people. You can talk about the 80s or the 70s or that type of thing, and my players. To speak to guys who have played for me, who are in their 50s and been All-Americans, and even guys that just played youth lacrosse, and I run into, it's always not Al or Alan, and I certainly have no problem with that, but it's always Coach. And in my conversations with them, you know, they really, you know, enjoyed their experience. And, you know, when you coach, you can be put in 2 boxes. The first box, you'd be outside of. That's the guy that belittles, that drives, and does really nothing for the kids. And the coach that's in the inner box is the one that respects the game and knows that he's made a difference. And I like to think that, you know, all these years I've made difference in a lot of the guys. And certainly, more importantly, they've made a tremendous difference in my life. Now, case in point, I know we were in my office a little while ago, and you pointed something out, and I did too. This is from April 29th, actually 2008, and it says, "Thank you, Coach Hodish." Comes from the wife of one of my players from 1981. You know, read a little bit of it, and "Dear Coach Hodish, sir, I'm writing to you hoping that I have the right Alan Hodish that coached at Hempstead High School nearly 30 years ago. My husband, Norris Taylor, great player for me, went to Cortland, was one of your lacrosse players, graduated in 81. With your recommendation, he attended Cortland College. I'm not sure if you remember him. Of course I do. Regardless if you do or don't, I wanted you to know that he has never forgotten you, and what you did as a coach is truly appreciated. I've known Norris for 14 years. He's spoken of you very highly. Many times people come into our lives and some make a lasting impression. You are one of those people in Norris's life. You mentored him and he has grown into a very good mentor himself. He has been in the Navy for 24 years and has helped many young sailors achieve higher ranks. He speaks of you to our son and tells him of all of the support you gave to him when he needed guidance. You're always there for him, and that you went above and beyond for your players. So thank you for being a positive role model to Norris and all the other people you helped along the way. And it's signed by his wife, Becky Taylor. So, I mean, I guess that certainly says it all.
This is Bernard Williams for Lacrosse Legends.